People seem to be obsessed with trying to have sex on planes. Is that something that you've encountered?
Oh, yeah, multiple times. And let me be very clear. I don't understand why. Because those bathrooms, they're clean enough for you to go to the washroom. And that's not cleaned often. That's filled with bodily fluids in there. And it is a felony. So you're not allowed to do it.
Whoa.
It's a felony?
It absolutely is. I mean, a plane is public transport. So it's like having on a bus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care, right? I don't care. You do whatever you want. So usually what we're going to do is we'll write like a note or something. Because you also want to be like, you don't want to scream it out. You don't want to embarrass anyone. And you're like, hey, like, I don't know, congratulations. Like, you did it. Just so you know, it's illegal. And so please don't do it again. And if you do it again on this flight, you're going to be arrested. And a lot of the time they're just like, they get really... Okay, so a lot of the time the girl gets really embarrassed and the guy laughs it off.
Yeah, that's like a worse way of getting caught. That's funny. That's like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Or like you're an idiot for trying this.
But I know of some flight attendants who have done it like in the washroom when there's passengers as well.
When you're working on a plane and passengers are boarding, are you immediately judging everyone that's coming on?
Absolutely. The only reason why we're on the plane is to take you safely from point A to point B. And then we happen to provide a service, and then we happen to be nice. And so we are profiling everyone who is able-bodied, who is non-ambulatory, who is someone that could help us if we need to restrain somebody. I smell alcohol on your breath? Are you belligerent?
Wow, I've never, like, Joe, have you ever realized?
No, I thought they were just saying hi. What kind of person, would walk onto a plane and then you'd be like, oh God.
We had someone with a huge Trump supporter come on the other day, and we were like, we have to make sure that this person doesn't do any trouble, right? Because that's how they're portrayed in the media, for example. I've had people come on and just start screaming and just making really like racist jokes or inappropriate comments. I've had to deny boarding to someone one time that was being too loud. I also have to think about the fact that the door is still open and we can still have police officers come on and help us. If I close the door and think I'll just take a chance on this person, and then we leave and then we're in the air, then I'm the only one who has to take care of the situation. It's happened a couple months ago where this woman was trying to bring her dying mother on board. I've never seen someone so close to death in my entire life, and she was not medically approved to fly, and so we had to deny her boarding.
I've read that sometimes people die on planes and passengers will have no idea because the flight attendants just, I guess, have a way of handling that situation.
We are not medical professionals, so we cannot declare that someone is dead. So if someone says, oh, is this person dead? You'd have to say, well, it appears so. The thing that always kind of freaks me out is that we have to put them back in their seat, and we have to recline the seat a little bit and put like a blanket all up to their neck, so we cannot cover their face.
Oh.
Yes. So if it's a full flight and the person next to you has a heart attack and we can't move anywhere, you have a dead person next to you until we land.
Jesus.
And you just have to make it look like they're sleeping?
Yeah. And if someone says, is the person next to me dead? You have to say, it appears so.
Oh my God.
That is terrifying. I mean, that has unlocked a new fear of mine now.
If there's a death on board, we would ask the family, what do they want? There's so many different practices and cultures around the world that they might have to stay with the body as much as possible. They might want the body to be back to like their home where we just left. So we might go back.
Can you arrest someone on a plane?
Yeah, of course you can. I've had people poke me a lot or grab my ass, or it's happening. And then you have steps you have to follow. There's a point where you would give like a paper warning, and then they would get arrested after that when you arrive on the ground. It's happened on a flight one time that this girl was a passenger and she went to the washroom. Every time she would come back, the man next to her would put his hand on her seat so he could like feel her up when she would sit down. And she was really uncomfortable and she didn't know what to do and what to say. And she didn't have any like evidence of it happening. And so you always have to side with the victim, but then at the same time, he's saying he doesn't do anything. Imagine someone is touching you and no one else sees it and you restrain them, then they can sue you for that, right? You need to have evidence of something happening.
Man, why do airports and airplanes just bring out the worst in people?
Honestly, speaking of alcohol, like what is the protocol there? Like, are you able to just be like, nah, dude, we're not serving you anymore?
It's kind of crazy alcohol is allowed on planes when you think about it.
You can stop someone from drinking, for sure. It has happened to me. The worst, it was like one of the worst thing is like his friends could keep drinking because they were okay, but he couldn't. And so he got very, very, very upset with me. But yeah, you can serve. Even if you have like your child with you, you're like on international grounds. So if your parents say my child can have a drink, you can give them a drink.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why you would do that, but interesting. It's a loophole.
It's really just a matter of like if someone is rowdy, like if they're just out of hand, then you're like, okay, you can cut them off. But as long as they're just like, okay, you could just keep serving them, I assume.
You have to use a lot of like tact, but you can go up to them and be like, hey, I've noticed you've had a couple of drinks today. I just want to make sure that you're not driving afterwards because we don't want to have any issues with that. Like, just make sure to like keep in mind that everything you drink will double on the ground. And usually people are pretty good with that.
The average perception of someone taking a flight with a flight attendant is this person is going to get me a drink or food, or, you know, I'll ask them a million questions when I need, but it probably not crossing the average person's mind of, you know, all the things like you're trained in and your leadership ability if something were to happen. Does that bother you or most flight attendants, do you know?
It doesn't really bother us until something happens. Very recently, my friend was on a flight and this mother was with their child and the child said thank you. And she said, oh, you don't have to say thank you to flight attendants. You don't need to use your manners.
What?
What?
Excuse me? You know, why would you even think of saying that when there's like a very young crew and you'll have like business people who fly a lot? They'll kind of look down at you a little bit, but really it says more about them than it says about me. So I don't really care. The history of like the flight attendant is that they used to only hire women who were nurses, and you had to be a certain height and a certain size. So you had to be small and you had to be short and beautiful. And it was a standard. Obviously, today they can't do that. They can't hire you on your beautiful face, but there's still kind of like a stigma around that.
Are you able to fly for free, or you get a certain amount of free flights, or you get a significant discount?
So you can live anywhere you want in the world. If you live somewhere else, they call it like we say we commute. So if you live somewhere else, they'll give you a free flight for you to get to your home base so that you can operate your flight. I have a friend who lives in the Netherlands, but is based out of JFK. So he gets to go and then he stays, you know, he has like a crash pad or something in the city and then can go back home afterwards and live somewhere else in the world. And, you know, I know people that live all over the world. So that's a really cool perk. So if there's any space on the flight you can go in, you'll usually pay like taxes and stuff like that. So it depends on where you go, but you can fly like to Hong Kong for like $51.
Are flight attendants ever just super hungover on flights?
Yes. But usually you'll do it like once and then you never want to do it again.
Yeah, because that must be brutal.
It's really rough. So you're not allowed to drink 12 hours before your flight. One time that it happened to me, of course, I was in Vegas and we went to leave the next day and our plane had a mechanical issue. So we had to wait and the passengers weren't on it. We were just on it. But we were in the middle of the desert in August and the mechanical issue was that the AC was broken and I wanted to die. I was on this plane for 3 hours.
Oh, no.
That's brutal. You should get like triple pay if there's no AC on a flight.
They fixed it and then we finally left. But it was just like that 3 hours of like waiting for it to be fixed in, you know, like a crazy weather. I think it was like 100-degree outside. It was something crazy like that, like a heat wave, which is why they needed to fix it. It was really rough. Yeah.
And do you like that lifestyle?
Do your training. They tell you, they say, you know, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. It really is. It takes over everything. And so it is really nice because you can have like 12 days off a month and be with your family and your friends. But then if you're very junior and you don't get a lot of the days off that you'd like, or you don't get a lot of the flying that you like, it can be really rough. You know, like I was away on a layover when my grandmother passed away and I couldn't be there with my family for like a whole 48 hours. So that was rough. You'll miss weddings, you'll miss birthdays and funerals sometimes. But the time off that you get and being able to just really disconnect from your job is amazing.
People out there that have like a fear of flying or they're scared of, you know, whatever, can you just tell those people, first of all, how many flights you think you've been on and why it is actually very safe to fly?
I've been doing this for 10 years. I wouldn't even be able to tell you, but one time we were counting and I think I went to like Hawaii like 50 times in a year.
Jesus, that's so wild.
It's a lot, yeah. Turbulence is basically like potholes. It's like a pothole in the road. You feel like you're falling and all that, but unless you're going through extreme turbulence, which some pilots have never been through in like 30 years of career, like it's very rare that you're going to go through some turbulence that is dangerous. I would like people to remember is that everything we do has a purpose. So when we ask you to do something or to put something away, it has a purpose. We're not there to make your life miserable. And if you bring us any chocolates or something, then you'll be really well treated on board.